Hello, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be going over 3 ACT math questions. For all these problems, I recommend pausing the video first and trying them yourselves. Without wasting any time, let's get into it. Question 19 says, given that x is less than or equal to 2 and x plus y is greater than or equal to 6, what is the least value that y can have? So for this question, what I would do first is get y by itself. And to do that, you just subtract x, take it to the other side. So you get this. So you get y is less than or equal to 6 minus x. So for now, let's ignore the greater than sign, and let's just focus on y equals 6 minus x. So first, I would like to point out this important detail. Since we want to minimize y, we're going to have to maximize x so we get the smallest possible value for y. And I'll show you that why it holds true. So forget this restriction of x is less than or equal to 2. I just want to show you guys why maximizing x gets you a smaller value for y. So let's say if I had x equals 1, right? My value of y would be 6 minus 1, which would be 5, right? But let's say if I increase the value of x to 3, my value of y would be y equals 3. You see how we went from 5 to 3 when the x value went from 1 to 3? That shows as we maximize x, we minimize y. So now going back to the problem, including and accounting for all the restrictions and perimeters, we want to maximize, we want to get the greatest possible value for x in order to minimize y. So the greatest possible value for x in this problem would be 2, because it says x is less than or equal to 2, and the greatest possible value you can get from that inequality for x is 2. So that means plug in x equals 2. You plug that in here. So you get y is greater than or equal to 6 minus 2, which gets you y is greater than or equal to 4. So these are your possible values for y. It could be 4 or anything greater than it. And since we want the least possible value for y, according to the inequality, like I said, since y can be 4 or anything greater, obviously 4 is the least value that y can be. All right, on to question 24. So question 24 says the sum of two numbers is 22, and the sum of the squares of the two numbers is 260. What is the product of the two numbers? So for this question, the best way to do this is using algebra. But if you don't know how to set it up, you could always just plug in numbers. But first, I'll show you guys the algebra way, and then I'll show you guys the guessing and checking way. So let's call x the smaller number. And y is the greater number. Just change that. The greater number, or the larger number, the larger number, right? So you have these two numbers, right? X is your smaller number and y is your larger number. So it says the sum of the two numbers is 22. So that means x plus y equals 22. And it says the sum of the squares of the two numbers is 260, which means x squared plus y squared equals 260. That's a horrible x. Okay. So for this question, you need to recognize and remember this identity. A plus b squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And let's apply this identity to this question. So we're given, let's just put these parentheses like this, squared equals this. Okay, so we know if we just follow this identity, you could write this as x plus y squared equals x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. So now we already are given x plus y, and we're given x squared plus y squared. So we can just plug these numbers in exchange for x plus y and x squared plus y squared. So that would get you 22 squared equals 260 plus 2xy. And it's 260 obviously because 260 replaces x squared plus y squared. So now let's figure out what 22 squared is. Let me just use a calculator to figure that out. 22 squared is 484 equals 260 plus 2xy. And then realize xy is the product of your two numbers, x times y, right? So now all you have to do is just solve for xy. So 484 minus 260 equals 2xy. And 484 minus 260 is 224. So 224 equals 2xy. Divide by 2, divide by 2. You get xy equals 112, which matches answer choice G. So this is the algebra way of doing it, and this way ensures you get the answer, the correct answer. The other way of doing it is the guess and check method. So what I mean by that is take two numbers that add up to 22. So let's start with numbers that are close to each other. So let's go like 10 and 12, right? 10 plus 12 equals 22. And then the sum of the squares of the two numbers is 260. So you could verify that with like 10 squared plus 12 squared, which gets you 244, which is not what we're looking for. Then we could plug in like 9 and 13, 22, 81, 169. This also does not get you 260. And then eventually, if you keep checking, you'll get to 8 and 14, and 8 squared plus 14 squared does actually equal 260. And then you would do 8 times 14 and you would get 112. So this is the guess and check way of doing it. But I would stick with like using variables because this will get you your answer very quickly. And this is the more efficient and better way of doing the problem. But again, if you don't remember this identity, you can always just guess and check. And if you're fast, then you'll get the answer. On to question 59. This one's a tricky one. It says the function f of x equals 5 raised to the power of x over 2 as an inverse function f negative 1x defined for all x greater than 0 by which of the following expressions? So whenever you see something asking for the inverse function, there are 3 steps I want you guys to follow. The first step is replacing f of x with y. The second step is swap y and x. And the third step is solve for y. So for this question, let's do the first step first, which is y equals 5 raised to the power of x over 2. Then swap y with x. X equals 5 to the y over 2. And now the third step, which is the trickiest part, would be solving for y. So let's write it like this, actually. This will maybe make it easier to see. But this this can be converted into a log equation by remembering this identity, which is the base raised to the exponent equals the number, which is equivalent to log base, the number, and then the exponent. So this, we can use this conversion here. So it would be log base 5 to x, log base 5x equals y over 2. And now, since we're solving for y, you just multiply by 2 to get y by itself. So you get 2 log 5 x equals y. And yep, that's your answer. And now let's check that, which this matches answer choice E. And yeah, that's it. So these were the 3 problems. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.